In this video I'm going to show you how you can use the track controls in Garageband for iPad. So each touch instrument in Garageband has track controls or settings that can help you adjust the volume, the pan, in other words the stereo position, and the effect levels. You can also solo and mute the tracks, quantize or transpose recordings, and change the master effects as well. And these settings can be saved and applied to other tracks or projects, so it's really useful to be able to understand how to do this. You can actually do this through the track view, which you can see here. I've got a couple of parts, and then what you can do is you can either select a track and then you tap on what looks like the mixer button, and it brings up track settings with lots of different options underneath. Starting first of all, we can either mute or unmute a track, and you can see here when you unmute it, it will then give you the option to hear that. You can also tap on the headphones to solo a particular track, which will give you the option just to listen to it by itself. You can then mute and unmute that. You can then adjust the volume, so the track volume, if you think it's going to be too loud, then you can basically drag the volume up and down. So in the case of this guitar, which I thought was quite loud when I recorded it, and then below that you've got other features as well. You can do the track pan, so do you want it to be in the left ear, of which case it will sound like this, or do you want it to be in the right? So that only affects that one part that you have selected down there as well. So track pan and track volume are really useful. Below here then you've got more advanced controls. You've got plugins and EQ. Below this you've also got compressor, treble and bass. Compressor smooths the differences between loud and quiet parts. So dragging the compressor slider left or right will even out that sound. Underneath then you can adjust the treble of the track and the bass. So in other words, the treble being the high frequencies and then the bass being the lower frequencies. You can increase those in both cases, or you can reduce those in both cases as well. So we can then go into track settings then. And here is where you'll find the options for quantization. Now quantization is where you can quite simply align the recordings to a specific note value. So for example, if you had a track that was not quite in time, quantization corrects the timing of the notes in your recordings, and then the straight gives notes a more precise rhythm, while triplet and swing give it a bit of a looser feel. So these are really useful to be able to do that. Clicking back then, we can go into plugins. We have got something called a compressor. And in here you've got so many different nuances as well. You can go into more granular detail with the compressor compared to what you had done before. And in Visual EQ you can actually go and tweak the frequencies of that particular track. And you can switch that compressor on or off just by toggling the power button. So master effects then, we've even got things like echo, which is default at the moment. And we can also have reverb as well. You can change the reverb types to which kind of a room you want it to be, in a cathedral, a club, a large hall, or just ambient. So you've got lots of options here to be able to make your sound even better. Then you can tweak the levels of these below as well. Double tapping the instrument will take you into the actual instrument area as well, and then tapping on this will take you straight into the same parameters as you did from the track view as well. So it doesn't really matter which view you're in, as long as you click what is that mixer view, in other words known as track controls, then you'll be able to go into all the different settings and change all the parameters. With certain types of tracks you'll have even more options available to you. You'll have things like transposition options. But then what's quite interesting, if you go into track settings and then recording, you'll have something called merge recordings and multi-take recordings. So if you're playing a guitar and then having multiple takes, what you can do is if you found the one you really liked, or you were doing, for example, strumming chords on the first take and then playing the melody on the second, what you could do is you could merge those recordings as one, and then if you toggle that on, it would allow you to do that. Being aware that multi-take recording, if you want that to be on, that would probably be the preference, because when multi-take recording is selected on, it will apply to every track in your song, and if merge recordings is also enabled, then multi-take recording will be disabled for the current track. So it's just to let you know the difference between those two. When you merge a part, you combine multiple recordings into one region, and basically you'll then tap recording and then toggle the merge recording. And then of course you've got the other aspects which I've talked about, the master effects. If you can go back to the track settings, and you go to master effects. So we talk about echo, slightly repeats, reverb, we talk about the audio tail, the length of time it takes to finish a particular sound. So those are the two differences there, but it's useful to have an awareness of what they are, just in case anyone does ask. And that's the overview of the track controls and the track settings in Garageband for iPad. In the next video, we're going to be having a look at the effect plugins to make your audio and your creations sound amazing. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.